everyone, welcome to Statecraft IS Academy. So starting the topic of discussion is Gaza. So recently we've heard that Israel has attacked on Gaza. So Gaza Strip, or simply Gaza, it's a self-governing Palestinian territory. It is located in the eastern coast of Mediterranean Sea, as you can see in the picture, and whereas Egypt is in the south of Gaza and Israel borders it in north and east. Next, this Gaza and West Bank. West Bank is also shown in orange. These two are claimed by the state of Palestinian, and the territories of Gaza and West Bank are separated by each other by the Israeli territory. So both of these fell under the jurisdiction of Palestinian Authority. The strip has since the Battle of Gaza, which took place in 2007, it is governed by Hamas. So Hamas is a Palestinian fundamentalist militant Islamic organization, so which came into power in the last held elections in 2006. So it has been under, because it is governed by Hamas, it has been under Israel's and US-led international economic and political boycott from 2006 onwards. Next, this location is very important. We can see the map of Gaza. You have seen Gaza and West Bank's location. Next important thing here is Dead Sea, which is in between Israel, West Bank and Jordan. Other one is Golan Heights. So Golan Heights is also between Lebanon, Syria, Jordan and Israel. Next, we can it's important to notice that Lebanon and Israel borders Mediterranean Sea, whereas Syria and Jordan doesn't touch Mediterranean Sea. Next, we'll talk about HRMN 99. So it is an innovative apple variety. So recently, a farmer from Himachal Pradesh developed an innovative self-pollinating apple variety that does not require long chilling hours for flowering or fruit setting. So these can be grown in plain, tropical and subtropical areas, and also areas in where temperature is as high as 40 to 45 degrees Celsius during summers. And next we'll talk about blackbugs. So recently Odisha's blackbug population has doubled in the last 6 years according to the figures from latest population census published by the Chief Conservator of Forest. So blackbug is also known as Indian antelope. It is a species of antelope which is native to India and Nepal, and it is widespread in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Odisha and other areas throughout peninsular India. It is also considered as the epitome of grassland. So this means that blackbugs are the best possible example of species which can live in grassland ecosystem. Also, blackbugs are considered to be the fastest animal in the world next to cheetah, and they are diurnal antelope. So diurnal means they are active during the daytime. Next, Bisnoi community of Rajasthan is also known for its conservation efforts of blackbugs. So, and blackbugs is a state animal of Andhra Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab. Talking about its cultural significance, it is the symbol of purity for Hinduism, as its skins and horns are regarded as sacred objects, and in case of Buddhism, it is a symbol of good luck. Next, about its protection status. So as per Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it is in Schedule 1. Its IUCN status is least concern, and in CITES it is in Appendix 3. So protected areas related to blackbug are Velwada Blackbird Sanctuary, which is in Gujarat, Point Calumet Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Tamil Nadu, Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve and Corbett National Park. Next, talking about the threats, first is habitat fragmentation, deforestation, natural calamities and illegal hunting. Our next topic of discussion is Bhitakanika National Park. So this national park is in Odisha in the eastern India, and it is famous for its mangroves, migratory birds, turtles, Asturian crocodiles and countless creeks. And it is world famous for its saltwater crocodiles and also olive ridley sea turtles, which reside in the nearby Gahirmata Sanctuary. And this Bhitakanika National Park is the second largest mangrove forest. It's important to note this. It's the second largest mangrove forest after Sundarbans. And Bhitakanika is represented by three protected areas. So first is Bhitakanika National Park, Bhitakanika Wildlife Sanctuary, and Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary. Next, this Bhitakanika is also located in the estuary of Brahmani, Baitarni, Dharma, and Mahanadi river systems. Also, it houses 70% of the country's estuarine and saltwater estuarine or saltwater crocodiles. The saltwater crocodiles are also known as estuarine. So, there's almost 70% of the country's crocodiles reside, saltwater crocodiles reside in Bhitakanika National Park. Also, it is a home to wide range of fauna, and it was designated as a national park in 1998 and a Ramsar wetland of national importance in 2002. Next, we'll talk about estuarine or saltwater crocodiles. So, before that, I'll tell that there are three types of crocodiles that are found in India. First is estuarine or saltwater crocodile. Next is a mugger or marsh crocodile, and the third one is gharial. So we'll discuss about all the three crocodiles, and this is how you're supposed to study. See, the news was about Bhitakanika National Park, but since saltwater crocodiles are important feature of this Bhitakanika National Park, you should also study about what saltwater crocodile is, its protection status, and also about other crocodiles. So talking about saltwater crocodile, it is the Earth's largest living crocodile species, and it is infamous globally to be known as a man-eater. So it is considered as dangerous. It is found in Odisha's Bhitakanika National Park, Sundarbans in West Bengal, and Andaman and Nicobar Island. It is also found in Southeast Asia and Northern Australia. And its threats include illegal hunting, habitat loss, and also because of its reputation as a man-eater, there is a pressure on its population. And talking about the protection status, it is least concern in the IUCN list of threatened species, and it is placed in Appendix 1 in the CITES. Also, the crocodile population of Australia, Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea are included in the Appendix 2 of CITES. And it is placed in Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Next, about mugger or marsh crocodile. So mugger is a egg-laying or hole nesting species. So they are also known to be dangerous, and they are mainly restricted to the India's subcontinent, where they are found in a number of freshwater habitats. So in saltwater crocodile, as the name suggests, they mainly reside in saltwater areas. And this mugger can reside in fresh water as well as in saltwater lagoons or estuaries. And these mugger crocodiles are already extinct in Bhutan and Myanmar. About the threats, there's habitat destruction, fragmentation and transformation, fishing activities that take place, and use of crocodile parts for medicinal purposes. And its protection status, it is vulnerable, whereas saltwater crocodile was least concern. It resides in the Appendix 1 of CITES and Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Talking about gharials. So it is a type of Asian crocodile which is distinguished by the long, thin snouts which resemble a pot. So which is known as ghara in Hindi. So these gharials are a type of crocodiles that also includes crocodiles, alligators, caimans, etc. They are good indicator of clean river water, and they are known to be relatively harmless, and they are fish-eating species, and they are mostly found in fresh waters. So saltwater crocodiles were found in saltwater areas, whereas mugger was found in both saltwater and freshwater, and gharials are mostly found in freshwater areas, or mostly in the Himalayan rivers. Also, the primary habitat of gharials include the Chambal River in the northern slopes of the Vindhya Mountains. And other Himalayan rivers like Ghagra, Gandhak, Girva River, Ramganga River and Son River are the secondary habitats of gharials. Threats include illegal sand mining, poaching, increased river pollution, dam construction, massive scale fishing operations, and floods. And gharials are critically endangered in the IUCN list of threatened species. It resides in the Appendix 1 of CITES and Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So, saltwater crocodiles, they are least concern. Mugger crocodiles, they are vulnerable, whereas gharials, they are critically endangered. Next, we'll also talk about the olive ridley turtles. So, they are the smallest and the most abundant of all sea turtles, and they reside in warm waters of Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, and they're most famous for their unique mass nesting, also known as aribada, where thousands of females come together on the same beach to lay eggs. And the IUCN status of olive ridley turtles is vulnerable, and it resides in the Appendix 1 of CITES and Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act. Threats include, so there are threats across their migratory route, habitat and nesting beaches due to human activities such as unfriendly turtle fishing practices, development and exploitation of nesting for beaches, for ports and tourist centers. Next, we see a map of Bhitakanika National Park. Oh, wait a second. Yeah. So here you see the map of Bhitakanika National Park. Important things to notice here is the other national parks nearby. We can also see Satkosia National Park on in the above. So if there is a question related to arrange the following national park or wildlife sanctuaries from north to south or east to west, so it's important to note their locations as well. So in this case, you will see Satkosia is above Bhitakanika National Park. Then after that you see Bhubaneswar, then Konark, then Puri, and then we can see the Chilika Lake. In the next picture also we can see Simlipal National Park, which is above Bhitakanika. And this is how you are supposed to study maps and see the various locations of especially tiger reserves and national parks, because generally questions come related to where this national park is, or is in which state it is in, or we have to arrange it in north to south or in west to east. And next, we'll discuss about Veer Savarkar. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to the pioneering Hindutva ideologue Veer Savarkar on his birth anniversary. So, he's known as Vinayak Damodar Savarkar and popularly known as Veer Savarkar. He was born in Nasik in Maharashtra. So, he's a freedom fighter, an Indian independence activist, politician, lawyer, and a writer. So he was the founder of a secret society called Abhinav Bharat Society, also known as Young India Society, and he was also involved in the organizations such as India House and Free India Society. He was not the founding member of Hindu Mahasabha, was an active participant, and he was also the president of Hindu Mahasabha from 1937 to 1943. He also wrote a book titled The History of War of Indian Independence, in which he wrote about the guerrilla warfare tricks that were used in the 1857 Sepoy Mutiny. He called 1857 revolt as the first war of independence. He also wrote the book Hindutva, Who is Hindu, while he was in jail. And Savarkar endorsed the idea of India as a Hindu Rashtra. So he was the one who endorsed the idea of India as Hindu Rashtra, and he is credited with developing the Hindu nationalist political ideology, that is Hindutva. He also described several religions as one and the same, as Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Hinduism. According to him, all these religions can support the creation of Akhand Bharat, that is United India. So Savarkar was convicted and sentenced to 50 years imprisonment, also known as Kala Pani, and was transported in 1911 to cellular jail in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So recently, the airport at Port Blair is the capital of Andaman and Nicobar. The airport of Port Blair was named as Veer Savarkar International Airport. And next topic of discussion is UN Human Rights Council. So member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is also known as OIC, are calling on the UN Rights Council to set up a permanent commission to report on the human rights violation in Israel, Gaza and the West Bank. So we'll see what UN Human Rights Council is. It is an intergovernmental body within the United Nations system for strengthening the promotion and protection of human rights around the world. So this was created by United Nations General Assembly in 2006 and it replaced the former United Nations Commission on Human Rights. The Office of Human Rights Commission for Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights serves as the secretariat and it is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. Talking about composition and its terms, so UNHRC has 47 members serving at a time and the elections are held to fill up the seats every year. And these elections are based on the allocation to region across the world so that they ensure a geographical representation. And every elected member serves for a term of 3 years. The countries are disallowed from occupying a seat for more than 2 consecutive terms. And talking about the functions, they passes non-binding resolution. It's important to know the resolution passed are non-binding on human rights issues through a periodic review of all 193 UN member states, which is also called Universal Periodic Review. So all for today guys. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.